Welcome to episode 35. In our last episode, we mounted the entire body. So now it's time to build the interior panels. I'm starting to build the interior panels now. The very first one, and I think the most difficult one, is my footwell. You can see it is a fairly complicated piece. Lots of angles to give clearance for the gas pedal, brake pedal, and the clutch pedal, and still give a nice look in terms of, just blocking out all the frame and everything else is behind it. I did a lot of careful study, kind of looking at the very low section here to see if a person put their head down in the back here where the body will be, just to ensure they would be able to see the top edge of this front footwell. And so that's as high as it needs to be, no higher. So this is all made again of foam core that's simply been taped together, as you can see. A lot of pieces, a lot of different shapes in here. So from here, of course, a coat of molding wax and then PVA, and I'm going to fiberglass right over the top of that, and it'll basically be my temporary mold for the final footwell. I've got the carbon fiber and a little bit of fiberglass laid up in here. Fiberglass, of course, is used in places where corners are just a little too tight for the drape of the carbon fiber to follow. So I use the lighter fiberglass, just like I did on the rest of the body. Getting ready to apply some resin now. And one of the things I know I'm going to have trouble with is really in tight quarters. I'm doing it so it really contours to the shape of the chassis. And particularly down in here, I know I'm just going to have a hard time trying to get this thing in here. So what I've done, hey, it's a disposable brush anyway. I cut off the top, and actually I shortened the bristles a little bit. So now I've got a little bit more room to make that happen. I'm building out the bulkhead for my interior. See, I've got the top portion done, down to the left leg. I want to show you how I'm building this. Here's the right leg. See, I'm building it primarily out of carbon fiber. Front part is fiberglass because the carbon fiber doesn't droop or bend enough in order for it to go around that curve. So the way I'm building these is simply taking a piece of 1-inch XPS foam, expanded polystyrene foam, shaping it, kind of rounding it over, and then using that as the mold for the pieces. And this one goes right here. This is how I'm making the inset panels out of XPS foam for the interior. You can see already here I have cut out a shape. This happens to be on the right-hand side for the inset panel. And that's the back. When you flip it over, you see that what I've done is I have used a combination of the mini belt sander and quite a bit of hand sand. You get a nice profile for the mold here. But then I need a flange molded in right here. So then what I do is take some scrap pieces and just simply glue it to the back, and then this is my backing for the panel. But I still need to make the panel that goes in here. So then I simply save the piece that I cut out, and that becomes the mold for the inset panel. Where you can see here, what I've done is I've made a mold based on XPS foam, which for the pieces that'd be sculpted and three-dimensional. Then these areas are still more paper core board that I've used on other parts of the project that are just flat. Then I cover them with tape just so they don't absorb the resin and become a problem. You can see also that I've sort of pre-laid, dry laid up some fiberglass in these areas and some carbon fiber, just because it was easier when I had this
piece of foam out on my bench just to do it there versus struggling with it in here. So I did this one, that one, and of course on the other side as well. Everything is masked up because it's about to get really messy. Still using the 6-ounce satin weave carbon fiber and 4-ounce fiberglass twill weave. Again, that thinner fiberglass works really well in these tight corners because you cannot get the fiberglass to lay in there. Here's the finished interior panel. Pull the moles off it. You see this one's still rough. And here's what it looks like once it's been trimmed. I'm trimming my interior panel now, and this piece will slip inside here when I'm all done and just be held up. There's some ribs in there that'll hold it in place. But how do I trim it? Because it's blind now and I can't see how far down I need to trim this thing. So what I do is I start off by putting a piece of tape at increments along the way, and they're put in there in such a way where the edge of the tape is right on the edge all the way through. And basically we know how wide the tape is. So that's a given distance. And I come, put the panel on, put some places to mark it on the, some tape on the panel to mark it because carbon fiber is just hard to mark. And you just simply take your measurement, and then what I wanted to set up here was to have it go up into and behind this panel here about 1/2 inch, and I've set that here on my compass. Put it on here, you make a mark, and that's my cut line.
Now that we have the sides finished, let's get going on the seat. Same sort of process on the seat, except instead of using the foam core board, I use some hardboard here that I just had laying around the garage. Cut it to fit, use some XPS foam around the edges to make the form, all the way up into the headrest there, which is made of 1/4 inch plywood. Same process, cover it with wax and a little PVA to make sure it releases once I put the carbon fiber on it. And voila! This is the finished interior with all carbon fiber panels, as you can see on the sides and on the seats. And then here is, I'm doing some additional finish work on just the sides and the parts that'll have like a thin upholstery on them to ensure the grain and imperfections that were on the side panels don't show through on the final upholstery. Here's some more views down towards the front and down into the footwell to let you see what we've got here. And this car is ready to go to the upholsterer.